COVID-19 pandemic has taught us many things over the last 2 years. One of the most notable being the speed in which our entire lives can change. The restriction of travel, both internationally and locally, the introduction of lockdowns, healthcare service shortages, unprecedented vaccine development rollouts. The list goes on and on. Though, as it seems we're on the road to recovery now, there is a raft of new problems that need to be solved. Businesses across all industries are having to adapt to the changing landscape, and leaders are having to adopt new management styles to support the new expectations of the modern workforce. There has never been a better time to have a Master of Business Administration qualification. The MBA degree is more than building leadership skills and learning business principles. It enables individuals to reach their full potential. It unleashes the confidence needed to tackle the most ambitious of ideas. It connects great minds to build great networks. It makes moving towards the uncomfortable the right thing to do. At MBA Australasia, our mission is to promote the standing and enhance the value of MBA qualifications throughout the Australasian region. Tonight, we highlight the extraordinary achievements of MBA graduates and congratulate them for their hard work and dedication. Welcome to the MBAus Graduate Management Awards for 2021.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 2021 MBAus Graduate Management Awards. We are your hosts for this evening. I'm Ross Barclay.
And I'm Chris Jacko, and we are thrilled you're here to join us. We have a wonderful night ahead of us as we announce the winners of our returning awards, as well as 2 brand new awards for this year.
But before we dive into the details of all of that, I'd like to hand you over to Maxwell Grattan, President of MBA Australasia.
We are MBA Australasia, MBAus for short. Welcome to the 3rd Graduate Management Awards, known as the GMA. It's our 2nd consecutive online presentation due to the COVID-19 crisis. Not even COVID can stand in the way of recognising the outstanding talent in the realm of MBAs. MBAus is the peak body for those who hold or who are studying a Master of Business Administration in the Australasian region. As a company, our vision is to lead, empower, and inspire MBAs. The GMA provides recognition for and highlights outstanding members of the MBA community, their achievements, career, and contribution to industry. This evening, we celebrate them. Well done to all who are nominated for this year's categories, namely in Innovation and Entrepreneurship, Community Impact, Most Inspirational MBA Lecturer, and the flagship, the MBA News Most Outstanding MBAus MBA Graduate Award. On that note, I'd like to give a special thanks to our award sponsor, MBA News, led by Ben Reedy and his team. Your support is greatly appreciated. Congratulations to the finalists and eventual award winners. It is such a challenging job selecting the winners for each category when there is a breadth and depth of talent to consider. They say that the MBA is the degree of choice for executives. To all of the MBAs out there, MBAus is your professional body. I invite you to check out our website, get in contact, join, become involved, and contribute to the MBA community. In 2022, subject to COVID-19 restrictions, MBAus will relaunch face-to-face activities and offerings. We envisage they will include our conference, networking events, and the 2022 edition of the GMAs. There is so much to look forward to. Enjoy the GMA presentation as we celebrate and recognise excellent accomplishments and celebrate the winners too. That which is excellent endures, Aristotle. Congratulations in advance to all of the winners. I'm Maxwell Grattan, President of MBAus.
Thanks for that, Maxwell. So, Jacko, you alluded to some new awards this year.
That's right, Ross. We're so excited to be presenting 2 brand new awards this year. The MBA degree wouldn't be possible without the amazing universities we get to attend. So we thought it was important to recognise the faculty members who are creating great learning experiences for their students. Our first new award to introduce is the Most Inspiring MBA Lecturer. Secondly, and my personal favourite award joining the category this year, is an opportunity to highlight the individuals that are going above and beyond to make tomorrow's world a better place. Our second new award is the Community Impact Award.
This is, of course, on top of our returning awards, the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Award and the flagship award of the GMA, the Most Outstanding MBA Graduate Award, proudly sponsored by MBA News. In addition to the recognition for each award, we are also delighted to present each winner with a $400 cash prize. I want to say a big thank you to MBA News for sponsoring the GMAs this year, who helped make these awards possible. Now, we recently caught up with Ben Reedy, founder of MBA News, to discuss what it means to be a part of the GMA Awards.
Ben, thank you so much for joining us today for a conversation, and thank you again to yourself and MBA News for supporting the Graduate Management Awards for 2021.
Thanks, Jago.
Really wanted to jump in and get your input on what is it that made you want to support the Most Outstanding Graduate Award under the Graduate Management Awards from MBAus.
Thanks, Jaco. It's really important that we recognise excellence in MBAs. The MBA is not just about what you learn during your MBA, but it's a commitment to lifelong learning as well. And the sponsoring the MBA Awards is really an opportunity for us to recognise those people who recognise in themselves that continuing to learn, continuing to develop as people is really important, not just during their MBA, but beyond the MBA as well. So we started MBA News because we realised there was a gap in the market for information for people thinking about doing an MBA. There's lots of guides and directories out there that give you all the facts and the figures about doing an MBA, but what they really missed was a lot of the colour that goes with doing an MBA. A lot of the, they can't convey the experience of doing an MBA. So when we created MBA News, we really wanted to convey the whole experience, not just the facts and numbers about how much salary you're going to, how much extra salary you're going to make, how many people in your cohort, but talk about the trips and the relationships and the learnings that you have and those sorts of things, and make sure people get a much fuller understanding of what the MBA experience is all about. It's not just about those numbers. It's not just about improving your salary. It's about building relationships with people, building an attitude of excellence to lifelong learning, and they're the sorts of things that we want to convey on MBA News.
Brilliant. And what is it that you want the winners of the awards tonight to get from being part of the Graduate Management Awards?
What I really want them to do is to be able to go on for the rest of their career and take the award with them, with the recognition, knowing that they didn't just commit to doing an MBA, they didn't commit to just getting through it, getting the piece of paper. They committed to doing much more, which is pursuing excellence, which is what the MBA ultimately is all about. It's all about pursuing excellence, whether it's in your career, in your home life, in your social life, wherever it is. An MBA is really for people about committing to excellence.
And without giving any spoilers around what the result might have been, you were on the judging panel for the MBA News Most Outstanding MBA Graduate Award. Did you have any feedback on the applications and then the nominees for this year's awards?
Thanks, Jack. I was really surprised by the quality of the applicants. There were some really great entries there. It was a really difficult decision in the end. Any one of the finalists or the shortlisted candidates could have taken the award. What really surprised me was the extent to which these people or the entrants really have such a rounded life. They're not just focused on their MBA. They've achieved great things with their careers, and a lot of them are doing stuff outside their careers with social work or working for charities. A lot of them are the directors of social enterprises, that sort of stuff. So a lot of them aren't just committed to their career. They're committed to having a much rounded life where it's not just all about business. It's about building a better life for themselves, which I thought was really interesting.
It's great to work with such wonderful partners like Ben and the MBA News Group. Well, without any further ado, it's time for us to get to our first award of the evening.
First up this evening, the most inspirational MBA lecturer. Jacko, can you tell us a bit more about how this award came about?
Absolutely, Ross. As I mentioned earlier, the MBA doesn't happen without the faculty and staff members facilitating the program. Inspiring a generation of MBAs goes well beyond assigning readings and grading papers. It takes passion, commitment, and a genuine desire to foster learning and development in others. None of us would be here tonight if it wasn't for them. So we wanted to recognise the crucial role the teachers play in the MBA journey.
Yeah, I'm personally very excited about this award. I know there were certainly a few lecturers that were a source of inspiration for myself during my MBA journey. So anyway, I know we could talk for hours on this, which often we do on the podcast, but it's time for us to confer our first award for the evening. The winner of this year's award for most inspirational MBA lecturer is Stephanie Schleimer.
Steffi is the most dedicated educator I've ever met. Her commitment to her students, to her discipline, and to the values of our MBA program are second to none. She is absolutely the benchmark. I have no hesitation in recommending Steffi for the most inspirational MBA lecturer award. I can't think of a more deserving candidate.
Steffi has been MBA director at Griffith for the past few years, and in that time she's managed to take it to the top of the charts essentially and make it the number one MBA in the world, as ranked by Corporate Knights as being best for planet. This is an amazing achievement for an MBA.
Steffi's passion for the MBA is infectious and undeniable, but during a recent MBA competition, one thing really stood out to me. Whilst I would have thought the pressure would be on, it wasn't from her. There was nothing but around-the-clock support. And she reminded us to be human and to look at things from that perspective, and that our well-being and positive development was worth more than any end result. And that's the type of leader that I think our MBAs of today really, really need.
Stephanie Schleimer is an amazing MBA educator. She worked hard to keep her course current and relevant. She was always approachable and personally inspired me to challenge my thinking. Thank you for being awesome, Steffi.
What makes Steffi inspirational is that when you walk into a room with her, she genuinely makes you feel like the most important and the most intelligent person in the room. And I think that's such a critical part of academic leadership at the moment, particularly given we're in the midst of a global pandemic and we need students to feel supported.
Congratulations, Stephanie. It was so great to hear firsthand from the students and fellow staff members about the impact you're making.
Yeah, so now moving on to our second category for the evening. It's a returning award for innovation and entrepreneurship. This award showcases innovative business concepts created or developed through work submitted as part of an assignment in an MBA program or launched on the foundation provided by the knowledge and community gained through involvement in the MBA program.
Our finalists for this evening are Siobhan Costa from the University of Queensland and the Secure Exchange team from Griffith University, made up of Liesl Hull, Mark Ryan and Miriam Carter. Let's learn a bit more about these finalists and their projects.
Yeah, so that's super exciting, and it came about through the MBA Entrepreneurship Capstone, where it was sort of a joint venture with CSIRO and UQ. It was their first time doing it, and CSIRO had this new technology that they had developed and been working on for quite some time, but they were wanting to commercialize it. So the technology is precision fermentation. and it's got lots of different applications, but one of them is within food. So you can use this groundbreaking technology to create food. And so when CSIRO came to UQ and they presented as part of the capstone, I was absolutely so excited at the prospect of working on this venture. And so I jumped on board, and the whole point was basically for the students to look at coming up with novel ways of using this technology. And excitingly, we came up with a protein company. So the idea is to create a nutrition protein company. It's a sustainable nutrition protein company because the technology is using plants instead of animals. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And that's the synopsis very briefly.
So the concept is called Secure Exchange, and it's basically utilizing blockchain technology to create an eco-environment, call it a bioeconomy, so a circular economy, where we bring producers of waste together with manufacturing facilities and customers. So we would feed waste into the bioeconomy. You would have manufacturers that would procure it, so to speak, and then put it into a product that would then be sold onto the customers. Those customers, once they have fully utilized that product, would put it back into the circular economy by giving further uses to it. Now, it might sound, oh, well, that's fairly easy. However, as we all know, waste ends up in all places, all over the world. It lands up in the ocean, etc. So there's no traceability. So we're actually using blockchain technology to trace the waste to make sure that is ethically sourced and ethically dealt with and actually utilized at the end of the day. So really, really good, exciting concept.
The winner for this year's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Award goes to Siobhan Costa. The judges were incredibly impressed with the way in which Siobhan led the project for CSIRO in developing sustainable protein ingredients using novel precision fermentation technology.
Congratulations, Siobhan. I'm constantly surprised by the ingenuity and creativity in how people are solving certain problems these days. Best of luck to both yourself and the Secure Exchange teams with both of your projects. Okay, 2 down, 2 to go.
As we alluded to in the opening video for this ceremony, the need for projects delivering on social cause is becoming increasingly important. Hence the reason for the creation of the second new award this year. The Community Impact Award provides recognition for how a person has used the insight from their MBA journey to benefit a community or social cause. This may be related to improving or implementing sustainable practices, leading to significant environmental or social benefits, making a significant and lasting impact in the not-for-profit sector, or service to the community to help others.
And it was fantastic to see the overwhelming response to this category and the calibre of nominations we received. The finalists for this year are Kate Green from the University of Queensland, Annabelle Reid from University of New South Wales, Gilbert Goering from Griffith University, Taylor Hawkins, University of New South Wales. Now, let's hear from the finalists themselves about their work and the community impact they're making.
As I said, my role's often, behind the scenes in mission-based organisations. And this incident where I was able to connect some dots was no different. And we, at the PSA, the organisation was advocating for some scope of practice recognition for pharmacists. So pharmacists are able to give vaccinations. You probably know, you may have been to a pharmacist for a vaccination. But when it came to the COVID vaccination, they weren't really included in the first round of rollout. So my organisation was advocating for them to participate in the program. but the insurance was sort of the practical blocker. At the same time, I was looking for benefits to make membership more valuable for our members, to support them in that scope of practice and maybe even achieve a revenue stream for the organisation. So I was trying to find that special shared value place that hit the commercial sort of KPIs, but also really supported the mission of the organisation, because sustainability financially is about longevity of the organisation. So I was able to work with an insurer we were talking to and convince the underwriter that COVID vaccinations were okay, and there's no data in market on what might happen, so it was a little bit difficult, but we could really use the peak body status of the organisation. We write the guidelines, so I could use all the knowledge base we had to demonstrate it was perfectly sensible for pharmacists to practice to full scope. The insurer agreed to provide indemnity for this almost new style of service, obviously where a pharmacist has the training and is competent and authorised to do it. And that allowed the health department to enable pharmacists as part of the rollout, because their real concern was insurance, indemnity insurance if something went wrong. They were doing the product insurance for the vaccines, but no other insurers were coming to the table to support pharmacists. So once we let them know that we had secured insurance and we could provide that, they essentially agreed that pharmacists could be part of the rollout. And then I think I shared as part of the application press release where we hit 1 million vaccinations for pharmacists in Australia. It was probably quite a few weeks back. So they really helped expedite that rollout of vaccines. So I was only part of the value chain there, but I could move a roadblock using my roles on sort of the practical side of things, if you like.
Making marketing and comms and a business more sustainable is actually the challenge that we need to do now. Sometimes we think that innovation is only about technology. What's the latest gadget? What's the latest robots that we can use? And I'm lucky to have a managing director and Matthew Tobin, who understands technology as important, but I'm also equally lucky that he thinks that sustainability is an innovation. It's very few business leaders out there who, hand in their heart, will consider sustainability as an innovation, and I think that's the beauty of it. Sustainability, becoming a sustainable business, is actually an innovation. We're now discussing in a time where it's going to be COP26 soon, and there's a lot of challenges that businesses are facing. And what's interesting is, because I was in Australia for a long time, and then now being in New York, I can definitely see this sustainability feels like you need to have all of these big wins. That's the only time you should celebrate it. But you know what? Small wins is actually very important, because those micro wins will lead you to a bigger opportunity. And this is funny. Adrian Barris, who's a project manager at the office in Brisbane, he said, we started our sustainability efforts by changing our trash bins. We removed the desk bins to have a centralized segregation, like recycling segregation. So we removed all of the desk bins. And that actually triggered to a lot of different discussions, like equity, diversity, and inclusion, the solar panel. So for someone who's leading sustainability efforts, when you hear that comment, it's like, you know what? It's actually true. It's not just the big solar panels. Maybe just having a small community volunteering with the team is actually good for well-being. Having a vending machine which is not all junk food is also good. So I think it's a journey for us at UAP, and we will never be 100% sustainable, I think. But for us, it's all going to be how close can we get there, and that, for me, that is such a exciting, not challenging but exciting.
I'm responsible for IT, and it was a digital startup really that works with people and animals in isolation. So we work largely with the RSPCA, but we also work with other animal wildlife sanctuaries, and we partner the animals that are in isolation with people, which could be those with disability on NDIS, or it could be veterans suffering from PTSD, or first responders. So it's being able to bring them out of isolation and be in a safe community by participating in a course, but also contributing to the community through volunteering their time and caring for them. It's been a startup for the last growing startup, and now it's really ready to scale. So we're looking to scale to over 36 sites across Australia. So my role is really to implement that technology that's going to support that rollout and gain a consistent program that's effective.
So we started a nonprofit called Foundations for Tomorrow in light of, as COVID hit, as we were seeing young people start to really disengage from the traditional political process, and, the rising concerns around climate change and different policy areas where maybe young people weren't quite seeing their views enacted in politics. We decided to basically run the Australian mobilisation of a project that the World Economic Forum was starting, which was called the Davos Lab. And so it was a consultation that we ran nationally with questions around climate change, equity and inclusion, and individual wellbeing and security, and just asked young people what they cared about, what they thought the future should look like, and maybe where they thought some of these challenges were coming from. And the biggest outcomes we found from that was that short-termism in policy making and decision making are huge factors in why young people maybe don't feel that sense of resonance with our current political leaders at the moment. So yeah, we are currently consulting with a whole bunch of different initiatives internationally that have developed future interest considerations infrastructure in their own countries or in their own locations. So speaking to the UK All-Party Parliamentary Group for Future Generations, it's a mouthful, but they do incredible work, and the Welsh Commissioner for Future Generations as well, and seeing what they've created to see how we can bring something like that to Australia, because the reality is that electoral cycles and financial quarters don't really empower leaders to think long term. I think if we come from a perspective of empathy, their hands are often tied, and I think it's unfair of us to just get frustrated by that rather than saying, okay, how do we create tools and infrastructure that support them to be able to think about the long term. So that's what we're looking at the moment, is how best can we bring that to Australia.
I've been informed that the judges were very torn making their decision and wished that they could give out more than the one prize. But the award can only go to the one person this year, and it's with great pleasure that I get to announce that the winner of this year's Community Impact Award goes to Taylor Hawkins.
Congratulations, Taylor. A truly inspiring story. And Taylor was actually in London on her way to Glasgow for the COP26 climate change conference when we caught up with her. So I can't wait to hear how she went. All right, we are right at the pointy end. One more award to go.
Yes, it's time to find out who will be named the MBA News Most Outstanding MBA Graduate for 2021. This award is the flagship of the Graduate Management Awards from MBAus and is in recognition of the recent MBA graduate who has proven to be outstanding in their academic pursuits, professional life, and extracurricular endeavours. There is no surprise this year was another very competitive field, making the judging process extremely difficult.
That's right. And with so many fantastic nominations, it was a challenge to even shortlist the finalists. In no particular order, here are the 6 finalists for this year's MBA News Most Outstanding MBA Graduate. Katrina King, the University of Queensland. Alex Alvarez, University of New South Wales. Kelly Davis, the University of Queensland. Dr. Tanya Kelly, the University of Queensland. Karen Dillon, Griffith University. Athena Manley, the University of Queensland. Now, let's learn a little bit more about these finalists.
It might sound a little bit geeky, but I actually had get an MBA written on my goals list since I was 21 years old. And so when I finished my undergrad, it went on the list, and I wanted to reach a point in my career where I thought I could give it the maximum amount of value through applying it in the roles that I had. So when I took it on, I think I wanted to, apply knowledge, expand networks, become a more well-rounded executive. But what I took out of it ended up being, it's just so much more than what that was. I did start with that idea of wanting to be a more effective executive, and I finished with developing and living my purpose and having an impact on my industry and the next generation of leaders as well. Throughout my MBA, I led a lot of different functions. I've had a lot of different roles, and so I got known as a leader who could sort of come into any function, assist that team, take the organisation in a new direction, and be that from IT, people and culture, transformation, partnerships, and now in the world of strategy. So I guess some of the key things that I've taken away from that is that the breadth of the MBA can be used to maximum effect. The organisations that you can have an opportunity to work with, if you can find somewhere that can really align with that purpose, that you can bring your skills to life, it's a very powerful thing. It's not just theory. You can use it to enrich your business, enrich the people around you.
Sure. I run the Capital Solutions team at QIC. I'm in charge of developing all new product and looking after and governing the product that we have outstanding with our clients. Our goal is to create value for our clients in terms of long-term active management of assets for them. One of the things that I did through COVID was actually get a secondment to Queensland Treasury, as Treasury were looking at ways to help businesses and small and medium enterprises in Queensland. They wanted to look at ways that could be done that may be able to, a little bit further down the track when markets recover, to be able to commercialise the solutions that they'd made. So I did quite a bit of research for them on other sort of market disasters and market dislocations, and how either governments or central banks had stepped in to help the community in those timeframes. For example, through the global financial crisis, in the buyback of some of the financial centres then. And that actually, if you could hold on to it patiently, which governments typically can, you can make a profit for taxpayers as well. So I was looking at solutions for them, and one of the things to come out of that was the purchase of Virgin from the Queensland Government to just give it some time to help through that environment. And also we looked at different ways to potentially securitise some of the small and medium loans that they were making to Queensland businesses.
I just spent 12 months as the Australia and New Zealand veteran lead for a global professional services firm, Accenture. Throughout that time, I built a small team around me also of volunteers. And what we did was talk with other veterans and allies as well within the organisation about how we could support them and what they needed from a workplace to make their work more meaningful and enjoyable as well. So we rolled out a couple of initiatives. One that I'm really proud of is the recognition of prior learning. Coming out of defence, and I'm a perfect example of this, I had 0 qualifications to my name, even after 10 years of service as an officer and as aircrew as well. And what I did was I went to a registered training organisation, spoke to them about what my comparable skills were, and received some RPL certificates in particular areas. This is an initiative that I rolled out into our organisation, conducting the trial earlier this year, and we actually got 3 veterans some RPL certificates, including a Cert 4, a diploma, and an advanced diploma in a couple of different areas, including
security and operations as well.
I practice and advocate in the aged care sector to support stakeholders across the whole ecosystem to deliver high quality, safe and respectful care to older Australians. It's been a really challenging time for the sector. With the Aged Care Royal Commission, we had recommendations handed down in March. There's been a fair bit of adverse press and some reasonably negative stories emerge from that Royal Commission of care gone bad. The sector's also experienced the pandemic, which has had a significant impact on the workforce, on the residents, on operations and all facets of aged care really. And then the third component of what's been really tough in the sector is what is now being termed a workforce crisis, and how are we going to have enough people to be able to deliver the care for the ageing population. So it's been a really, really hard time for the sector, and there is pressure, particularly through the Royal Commission findings and the federal government response, to redesign the system to support older Australians in how they choose to age and make sure that that is fit for purpose and best practice. I've walked the floors and I've spoken to residents and their families and the staff, and I've lived aged care for a huge proportion of my career. And there are amazing people across the sector who really want to make that difference and really want to create something that the country can be proud of as far as a system is concerned.
Yeah, well, certainly the the anaesthetics part of my life, which was really, really big, is a little bit smaller now. I do a lot more in this other clinical advisory space, and then in digital health as well. And then pushing all of that aside, there's all these other opportunities in life, and I have a strong sort of passion for sailing, and so I've been doing it since I was quite young. The being on the board at Mooloolaba Yacht Club is the same sort of thing, I guess. It's one of those sort of broader places that with some leadership skills and some organisational skills and management skills, you can sort of have a real impact in that area. We have a women's development program that we run, and we've put hundreds of women through that program now, and they have done really, really well in terms of moving up the hierarchy of decision making within the sport, because historically women often did less decision making roles on boats and sort of struggled to move up the tree, if you like. So that's been an excellent thing to be a part of. And I think when it comes to any of those sort of more volunteer spaces, what you can do as a volunteer, really does depend on what you can offer, and it really does give you a very meaningful life. And I've really, I get just as much out of what I do in a non-work space as I do in the work environment, and you get to meet a whole array of people.
I have a career in IT originally, but I kept switching back between IT and marketing, as I'm a bit of a talker. So when you're put in a technical position and you happen to have that particular skill, you get put in front of the customer. So I kept switching back between marketing, sales types roles and IT. And as the years progressed, I developed my social skills at a much higher level than my technical skills, but I kept them up to pace. And then I realized that I was at a crossroads. Okay, well, for the business people see me as the technical guy, as the IT guy, because I'm always involved in technology, and the technology people see me as the business guy. So how do I bridge the gap between the two? And one of those things, it was one of the motivations that led me towards pursuing the MBA. So I'm now a project management professional. I realized that it's what I've always been. I just didn't know it was called that way. So it's one of the good things about doing an MBA, that you get exposed to multiple different disciplines, and then you begin seeing the commonalities, and you realize, oh, so that's what that's called.
Before we announce the winner, Thank you again to MBA News for sponsoring this award to help make all of this possible tonight. And congratulations to all the finalists, nominees, and recent graduates. It's a great honour to be able to showcase these awards as a result of all your hard work and dedication.
Now, I feel like we've left them waiting long enough, Jacko. On behalf of the entire MBAus organisation, it's with great pride that I get to announce that this year's winner of the MBA News Most Outstanding MBA Graduate Award is Karen Dillon.
Hi Karen, Ben Reedy from MBA News. Just wanted to say congratulations on your win. It was a really tough field. There was lots of great applicants. One of the things that really impressed me on the judging committee was your ability to take those MBA learnings and apply them in a business, in a real world environment. We saw some of the great ventures that you've done at TLC Healthcare and how you've really driven the performance of that business. We think that's really important for MBAs. That's one of the things you learn in MBA is to take those academic learnings, those theoretical learnings, and apply them in the real world. We're also really impressed by the way you've applied those learnings to a social enterprise like Whyalla Peninsula. One of the things that MBAs are doing really well these days is teaching students to be more well-rounded. It's not just about creating a great business and applying those learnings inside the business space. It's about applying them to outside spaces like charities and other social enterprises. So an MBA, you're a great example of how an MBA can not just build a better business, but can build a better world. Well done, Karen.
Congratulations, Karen. As one of the judges on the panel for this award, I can tell you that the quality of applicants was fantastic. There wasn't much separating the top three. Karen, we were impressed by the application of your MBA studies to achieve incredible results in your work, in your involvement with the community, and your thought leadership. Congratulations once again, Karen, a truly deserving winner of the title of the Most Outstanding MBA Graduate.
And congratulations again to all of our winners tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure facilitating the Graduate Management Awards again this year. From both of us, thank you for joining us this evening for the awards ceremony. And we look forward to seeing the next wave of outstanding nominations when we return in 2022. Good night.